Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name is Joe, that is Adam McCullough, that is Jay Motti, that is Ronaldo Brown, and we are going to be talking about Manchester United, of course, but in particular, this ongoing... It's becoming a farce at this point, isn't it?
It is
United, we're still waiting on who's the manager going to be, is Ten Hag getting sacked or not?
Yeah.
That leads on to who we're going to get for transfers, because if we're getting a new manager in, he might want some of his own people. We don't know what's going on there. Nothing's happening in terms of anything at Manchester United at the minute. And we need some answers, Ronaldo. We need to know what's going on.
Do you know what's going on, Ronaldo?
I have no idea. Do you know what?
Must have.
Because it feels like it feels like United can't move forward with this lingering in the background. That's what's annoying
Why
about
if the
it.
decision's made and they don't need to make an announcement?
Because they've helped drive the speculation with openly interviewing possible replacements.
How they openly interviewed him?
It was reported
But
by...
I'm just saying what they would say.
What they would say?
Yeah, so they go, how did we openly interview?
Well,
Nah,
Thomas
but-
Frank was seen coming out of their offices in town. Not in town, in London, sorry.
They were just telling him he's not getting the job.
We've invited all of the world's managers to one by one go, you're not having it, you're not having it. And it just
Or was it
happened.
Pochettino, one or the other?
If Thomas Frank
I can't
was seen
remember.
walking out of their office,
No, it might be
we are
Pochettino.
doomed,
It might be
you know that.
Pochettino, sorry, I might be getting
Yeah, that's
confused.
the
If
fuck.
he was
Nah,
sitting
it
there,
can't,
Pochettino, sorry.
it can't be a Thomas Frank thing.
Pochettino, sorry.
Or
Still.
Poch.
And also the whole Kieran McKenna thing, like loads of people were running that.
And also, everyone is reporting that we will find out this week. So to your point, I understand that no announcement by the time next season starts is in itself an announcement. But everyone's saying there's going to be one. So I think that we are to expect some sort of announcement. All the journalists that you would trust with transfer rumours, with any other bit of news at Manchester
come out.
United, it's big people. It's the Athletic, it's the Times, it's the Guardian. It's not just this, that, and the other. As the TV goes off and Ethan's frantically rewiring the whole set.
Plugging some, well, you're not
there you
supposed to
go.
stick that in your bum.
No, exactly. No wonder it went off. No wonder screaming Brown.
Come on, Ethan.
But we are expecting an announcement in the coming days.
Yes.
But that keeps getting pushed back because at the start of last week it was going to be that week.
Maybe no one has a clue.
Well, they have to have a clue. It doesn't matter because time doesn't stop.
I'm not on about the board. I'm on about these journalists. They keep going couple of days, end of this week, and then next week. It's just guessing.
At some point.
How about me? I'm going to say I've got an exclusive for everyone.
Go on.
They're not going to make an announcement.
Really?
Yeah, exclusive.
You've
No
got
announcement
that
required
sourced.
when you're keeping a manager.
Well, maybe it won't be an announcement from the club, but the people who are
It'll
reporting
be like
that
Ten
there's
Hag
this
signs new deal.
end of season review. Journalists will announce.
Or it'll be that. It'll be that.
one way or the
It'll be Ten Hag signs a new contract.
Well, that's what I mean, but that's an announcement, isn't it?
That's what would be said if he's staying, probably.
I think you leave that decision until around Christmas, January.
Do you think?
If you can, yeah. I think you wait with that one.
But
But you don't want to end up giving someone a big payout if they're not going to stay. Remember with Mourinho, didn't we give him a new deal just before
Give him
he
a
got
new
sacked?
deal. Yeah, give him a new deal in August, and I think he got sacked in December.
But hasn't Ten Hag got
Something like that.
hasn't Ten Hag got terms in his contract like a transfer veto and that INEOS don't agree with?
I doubt they were ever terms in his contract though. I imagine like they were just
But even if you-
gentlemen
you have power.
agreements. Yeah.
Even if
Okay.
it is in his
I mean, it might
contract,
be,
though,
but I don't know.
Yeah.
the manager should have some say in who they sign.
Of course he got, because he
like
could say, I'm
he
not
had
going to
not-
play him. I'm not going to play that guy.
True, but he had quite a lot. But it seems INEOS seems to come in and they want to be quite controlling when it comes to a lot of that.
Yeah.
Because apparently they want to dictate the style of football that we play as well, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
I think
No,
people,
but that's not an alien thing to football clubs though,
Yeah.
to have a style of play that you kind of, even under Fergie, like all of our teams played a similar style of play, so that if someone got promoted, they weren't, in an unusual
academy
position
always
or in an
plays the
unusual.
same. Yeah,
So that's a general thing, right? That's
I
not
think
a new thing, is
the only
it?
difference is, obviously, if it's not coming from the manager, the style of play. Because usually they would do, wouldn't it? Like Fergie or whoever. But if they're saying, no, we're going to decide, that would be a novel way.
Manchester United's style of, because Fergie was almost like Ashworth, Wilcox, all them mans rolled into one anyway.
He was, you're right.
You know what I mean?
100%. He was. That's why United flopped as well, because we didn't move with the times. When we got rid of Fergie, and we just went, right, Fergie and Gill have gone, Woodward and Moyes take over. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just carry on like that with two far inferior people in those roles.
Yeah, absolutely.
but the way that it's come across like they want to kind of decide what the transfers are. They want to decide what the style of players, and then they want a head coach to kind of implement the style that they want. So that's what makes it seem a little bit like there's going to have to be some give or take with Ten Hag.
I know it's a weird question because he's here now and he's been here for 2 years. But if Ten Hag wasn't here, he would be one of the names spoke. He would be one of those guys walking out their office.
Yeah, it was 100%.
Do you know what I mean? Like he would be. So there's no reason why they can't come to some sort of agreement with him.
That's one of the biggest things, isn't it? Because when you look at all the replacements, none of them really excite you that
Ajax
much.
had a similar manner of business, right? It wasn't all on the manager, was it? So it's not like it's unusual.
I think Overmars had a
Overmars.
big say in it, didn't he?
Was it?
Ajax before it, obviously.
And Van der Sar was
left
obviously
for-
there, and you had all these different
Yeah.
people. So it felt like when he first came in, he looked around and went, I'm not letting Ed Woodward make my decisions that get me sacked.
He was
I'm not
definitely his own man.
I'm not letting these guys make decisions which could get me sacked. So But now that the structure could actually be there, he might be fine with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It might have been just a necessity when he arrived.
That's a good point.
So-
if he's worked like that under Ajax, then yeah, he might be okay with it, and he might look okay. If you're getting football people in these roles who know what they're doing, I ain't got an issue with that.
Because why would he be? You know, you can't work in football if you're completely unwilling to work as part of a team. Like, if you think you're going to make every decision in a football club, that's just not the 21st century, is it? So he can't have thought, I get to make all the transfers, all the tactics, pick all the players, do the, like he must know that there's a bit of give and take.
I think there probably was a little bit of give and take when he arrived. And I don't know how much he wanted the Casemiro signing and was like, go and get me Casemiro, and how much the club were like, well, we've got you Casemiro.
I think he wanted Casemiro and De Jong, didn't he, from what he said?
Right.
But you would say that now.
Yeah.
You can't say I didn't want him.
I don't know, it felt a little bit like the
Yeah,
club
it did.
were having some
It
sort
certainly
of
wasn't his first choice.
No.
What do you think the decision is going to be? If there is?
Just to add, like when we tweeted the link to this, our friends at No Question About That pod
Yeah.
quoted it with this quote: "Walk to the right decision, don't run to the wrong one."
Okay.
There is that, but there's a difference between walking and
Poetry.
dawdling, isn't there? Because if you get to a decision in a timely manner, you get the new manager in, or you announce Ten Hag is staying, that's all well and good. If we're waiting another week, 2 weeks, the Euro started all of a sudden, and then we announce it, it's very obvious that the INEOS don't love Ten Hag, because if they did, they'd have given him an extension or whatever quickly. If they really hated him and liked the alternatives, they'd have got them in. So it makes it look like we don't love Ten Hag if we keep him, or we don't really back
Well,
the new manager
on the
because it took us
flippity
ages
flop
to
of
do
that.
it.
On the flip side of that, though,
Yeah.
if you're making a decision on your manager who isn't responsible for transfers, who isn't responsible for those things, really, all you have to do is make sure the manager's in place by the start of pre-season, right? Because transfers and things aren't reliant upon your...
Yeah.
Although players will want to know who they're playing for.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking more. His relationship with the squad. If you're a player at Man United who, let's say, I know obviously the number of players who have been here for 4 or 5 managers is going down and down, but like a Luke Shaw or a Rashford or a Dallo even at this point, whatever, and you've seen 2 or 3 managers come and go, and you see a new one come in who they clearly weren't that keen on because it took them ages to get him, you can probably think, we could get this guy sacked if we want to. And I don't mean those players specifically, but it's hard to stay motivated when it's clear the owners don't even like the manager that much.
It is.
That's an issue.
The indecision is quite annoying. And
Yeah, that's what
I said it last time. If you're Ten Hag, because I don't want to hear when I mention this point. If you're Ten Hag, you're openly seeing that INEOS don't fully believe in you. And it feels like if you are kept on in the job, it seems like they've
How
settled.
do we know that, though? Because we
they've
don't...
taken such a long time.
they
But
would've-
they could have spoken to him, but we don't know that. Surely we don't know that. They could have spoken to him.
I think
it's quite-
at some point it would have come out.
I just think
Ten Hag has been told he's staying.
Am I being like, the season's not long ended. They could have spoken to him and said, see you in the summer. Do you know what I mean? See you in the summer.
I think I would have come out.
Yeah, and all these reports of interviewing managers, I think that happened. And I do think that this review, or basically them biding themselves some time, is happening.
I don't think we've ever been in a scenario where,
untrue.
if it was just say one newspaper say that's
exactly.
like got a bit of a patchy reputation anyway, I could get it. But literally every single leading journalist has said the same thing. You know, we spoke to Henry Winner just after the FA Cup final, and he was saying the same thing. He was saying the same thing. He said, "I've just spoke to Erik Ten Hag. The club need to let him know what's going on." Like Erik Ten Hag said it himself. He said, if they want a manager who's gonna, if you don't want me, I'll go and win trophies somewhere else. So he's saying it. So it's like it's obvious that he's not been told we like you.
I just think he's gonna have a gripe with it. There's gonna have to be some sort of mending because he's quite clearly would go into next season knowing that he's working under an institution that didn't really fully believe in him.
It feels a bit like...
I don't know, though, because if they get to a decision eventually, that means that they believe in you, right? If they're doing some sort of due diligence and are looking at different reports. Why have all these injuries happened? Is it on the manager? Is it just accidental? Is it something we can resolve? The transfer thing, can we blame all that on him? We're looking at the stats of players that were available. Again, is that to do with, if they're going through all those things to come to a decision, then you have to expect that at any big club, right? That there may be positions where, and I think every manager understands it, that you're liable to get sacked if you don't tick every box.
Yeah.
So it's not an alien thing for a manager to be like, oh, I don't know if they want me or not. Do you know what I mean? Or do you think it is?
I don't think it's necessarily alien, but I do think if you want at least the feeling that we're all pulling in the same direction. And at the minute, it feels like that isn't happening. INEOS, if I offered you $5,000, you don't have to think about taking it. Like, there are some decisions where...
I do, because there's usually strings attached to
exactly.
your $5,000.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. What do I want to but, like, generally speaking, if they were really happy with 10... I know that you're not going to be really happy because we finished 8th. No one's really happy with him. But I think if they were keen, it would be done by now. And
do you not think, like, every club... Obviously, Pep isn't going to get looked at like that, and Klopp, if he was still in position at... But don't you think every club at the end of the year does some sort of... Right, are we sticking with this guy?
Review.
It's it should be a normal thing, right? We should be doing that with the playing staff. We should be doing that with everyone.
Yeah, no, I get that. I do get that. Just in terms of moving on a little bit, in terms of how it could affect transfers, are we thinking it doesn't matter because INEOS are going after Branthwaite, whatever, regardless? Or are we a little bit worried that, let's say a new manager comes in, every new manager, even ones where the structure of the club are good, like to bring in players that they've worked with before. Pep did it with Bravo and it didn't work out, but everyone does it to a certain degree. Are we not worried maybe that a new manager might want to bring in a player or two that he's worked with before, and we are running out of time to do that if we wait longer and longer?
Because in the transfer market, you don't necessarily want the managers to have complete power, but as you said, you want them to have at least a little bit of a say in the players that you bring in. And if they aren't sure, as it seems like they're not, about who the manager's going to be, then it is going to slow you down in the transfer market, as we've seen, where it feels like you can't fully decide who we're signing and who we're selling yet, because we've got this big decision of who's going to be the manager next season lingering. And I think that's been the main issue that's kind of griped me over the recent weeks. I'd rather them come out saying he's staying, or they'd come out and say that he's not, because then we can move forward in the transfer window and actually look towards pre-season and the next season.
But are we not asking for something and then complaining about it? Are we not going, we want an overall structure that are responsible for transfers, we don't want to, and then we're going, but actually the manager needs to kind of
no, but
aren't we being a bit?
But we're
asking for one thing and then we get it. We're going, well, actually this doesn't work.
You want a bit of both, don't you? You want the club to decide
Michael Edwards
3/4 of it.
And Klopp.
Yeah.
Klopp never wanted Salah.
No,
he wanted Julian Brandt or someone like that.
You're right.
He never wanted Salah.
I think, but
man went, this is why we're getting him. You're going to have it, or you're going to...
But what they signed... did Emre Can played at Dortmund? They signed Nuri Sahin from Dortmund. They got Naby Keita from Leipzig. I'm sure Klopp
every time you say a transfer that he wanted, it didn't work.
But I'm saying... But no, exactly.
You know what I mean?
But they got players from the Bundesliga who I'm sure Klopp had a hand in signing. They got, like I said, City got Bravo from Barcelona. And these are clubs that were well run, that have done good things. I do think that, look at Arteta. He got Zinchenko and Jesus from where he'd been coaching at City.
Those signings happened because of Josh Kroenke, Edu. That came as a result of all of them working together.
But do you think City would have signed Bravo if Guardiola wasn't the manager?
Yes, probably.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
So
probably.
That's another big factor.
I don't know.
So that means that when Wilcox and Barada come in, they've got to make sure that their visions align with Ten Hag. And if it doesn't, then that's another problem. Because
but they should already know that, surely, right?
It doesn't seem like they do.
But that's why I'm worried about how long it's taking. That comes back to
with Barada and Ashworth, the kind of issues with them coming in, I think that's helped delay a little bit the decision as well. But even if you're talking about City, and you've got who's it? Is it Tiki? Is that Tiki Bergstein? And then you've got
Sexy Bergstein, or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
They're all aligned from top to bottom, and we don't know whether that's the case yet with who INEOS are bringing in and Erik Ten Hag. Especially when I think the Anthony transfer and stuff like that is a lot of that's been laid at his doorstep.
Anthony happened because we panicked, right?
Because we lost to
panic
Brentford.
Was a result of the structure. That wasn't a result of Ten Hag.
Casemiro was after Brent, was because of Brentford.
Those
both of them, Anthony and Casemiro.
They were panic signings by the club rather than by Ten Hag. I imagine Ten Hag was going, I wouldn't mind Anthony at the start of the, and we could have got him for 30 mil. Same with we need a DM. He was chasing Frankie de Jong, but I imagine he wanted those players before, and then the club reacted.
Apparently, Casemiro actually wasn't the panic signing that people thought it was. Apparently, United were speaking to Casemiro's representatives from the start of the window.
But United actually, I don't know if it's true. It was like that he made his decision late in the day because he was.
He wanted de Jong first,
falling out of favour as well at Madrid.
Casemiro.
He was he sub against? What's that team called that begins with an A? I forget the name of the team. Forgive me. But he came on the 85th minute or something. It was like he's not that guy anymore for them. Yeah. And that was helping. I don't know. There's a lot of speculation going on around that transfer. I was reading up on it ahead of the Champions League final. There was a lot of speculation that he wasn't dead set on United.
They've been buying shitloads of centre mids for the. Like they bought Tchouaméni, they bought Camavinga, you've got Valverde coming through. Yeah. Like they were trying to stack out that midfield for a while before Casemiro left. But he was still playing every week the season before.
Yeah, but that's the beginning of that season. That's what they were saying. Well, I don't know what his stats were like at the beginning of that season.
Yeah.
When we, obviously just before we got him.
To your point there, Adam, whoever was making the point anyway about the price is not you, it's his fault. No, it was your point.
Wait. Joe, what's going on, bro? What's going on?
Someone said it. I think it was you.
One of your lot.
It wasn't you. It was
Ten Hag said. The prices paid for players are indeed very high, but I'm not responsible for that. The club did all of the negotiations, including with very good potential players who didn't come in the end. So he's sort of saying, like, I don't need to talk about Anthony specifically, but it's a very high paid fee, and he's kind of saying, I don't pick the transfer fee. I say, like you said, who I want.
Yeah,
and
I don't blame that.
That's
the thing. He didn't decide it was 80 million for Anthony. He said he wanted that player, and they said, right, we'll get him for you. So don't blame Ten Hag. I think the club needs to be better at that. And it's worked both ways because we heard Ollie the other week on the overlap saying he wanted, what's his name, Erling Haaland, and they wouldn't sanction the move. But like you've gone from one extreme where you're going, we're not going to take a chance on this, no one's going to sign off it. Laurie Whitwell was here and he said the same thing. They couldn't get a decision made. And then you go to the other extreme where it's like, I want that player, but he's going to cost too much. Oh, we'll get him.
But the Anthony one, the club didn't value him any more than around 40,
That's
50
what I mean,
million.
it's mental.
No, but they've gone for that price tag, obviously because the managers pushed for him. Otherwise,
they need to be necessity, and he's not got that money.
I need players.
Yeah,
like I need players. Like go get me him. It's like you going. All right, what do you need? I need a right winger. Yeah, I need it now. Just go and get it now. You're going and doing it.
Another issue people might not realise with the Anthony signing as well is United have already taken their manager in that window. United have taken Martinez in that window. They already lost a handful of other players, so they didn't want to sell Anthony. So there was obviously going to always demand a bit of a higher price.
That's why the club needs to be stronger though with the manager. Club needs to say, we have a limit. Because the managers go, just get him. They did it with Jose. Jose wanted Harry Maguire. No, let's not go down that route again. And he went, no. Like, there's a time when you go.
When he left.
Yeah, it's stupidity. Yeah. Like, you have to have a bit where, like you were saying there, Klopp was like, I want Julian Brandt. I know him. And they were like, no, we've got a guy who's going to fit in for you. There was none of that really with Ten Hag.
And that's what Man United need. We need to be buying players that we would buy regardless of who the manager is, because managers are interchangeable. Managers leave. He might get someone else, might want him, he might get sacked. And you don't want to end up in positions, and again, kind of exaggerate a point to make a point. We ended up with Wout Weghorst. That wasn't Ten Hag's fault. Ten Hag wanted him because there was a necessity for it. I need someone. Get me somebody.
And it has to be free.
I need someone now. And so you can't blame Ten Hag on that desire to need a player. It came from the failure of the system above him. So if you get the system above him right, if he starts complaining about players, then that's his own problem. But you'd like to think that the players Man United would be bringing in, if that system was right, would satisfy any Manchester United manager.
Just a point sort of to the counter a little bit. Paul ALC says, nobody's saying that United's board haven't been absolutely awful with signings, but to pretend that Pep or Ancelotti sit around and hoping their board provides signings for them without any input is crazy. I think obviously managers should have some input, shouldn't they?
Yeah, but there's also some signings. It sounds wild. I think Pep hates Haaland.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I think he looks at him and thinks, you're a dead baller, bruv. Like, I think, not in those words, don't think Pep would ever say that.
You're a dead baller, bro. I think that's what it
says. Am I going mad? Right.
Nah, do you know what? He's not the traditional number 9 for him.
Jack Grealish the same? I don't think he wanted Jack Grealish. But you got him.
But then
think
Haaland's come in and then obviously scored all those goals and won the treble.
Do you think there's what do you mean? Like, do you think there's an element with Pep where he's like, I've used the cheat code there or whatever? Like,
I think
just got a guy who's just come in and scored loads of goals for me.
I think Pep
He's abandoned his style, really. Look
Right.
at the strikers that he's had. I know he had Lewandowski at Bayern, but typically he likes fluid David Villa's, Pedro's, Messi's, like these kind of strikers, movable, good on the ball, like knock it past someone, 1-2 kind of strikers.
Didn't he fall out with Zlatan, Pep?
Yeah, Haaland isn't
Don't like
that.
them
Haaland is the
Definitely
least
twice the player
technical.
Haaland was in terms of just everything.
Haaland's
apart
the
from
least
goal scoring.
technical striker that Pep's ever worked with.
Right.
I reckon he hates
But
him.
he's
bro.
probably the best finisher
He
and the
got
best
hooked
centre
in
forward.
Couple big games.
Yeah.
Nah, but I
He
think
got
you
hooked
can't hate
in
him
the
because of the
Champions
goals he
League
scored, though.
No,
Exactly.
you can't. But Pep does because you got to understand. You got to understand. Pep is more successful than any of these pricks. So even if you've been successful, all right, cool.
Do you think
but
that's
why-
part of it with Pep though? Because people think that Pep sometimes, when he feels like a player's getting a little bit more of the stardom than him in a team,
Yeah.
I don't
he
think
gets a
it's-
little.
I think it is because I feel like, again, we're going away from the point, but I feel like Haaland and Grealish were club signings. They got Grealish because he was a personality. Obviously, he's a fantastic footballer. I wanted Man United, but it felt like he was a personality signing. Like, he'll be good for the dressing room.
We
He'll
need
make us
some PR.
popular in the press. He'll make us look good. And then Haaland was like, well, his dad played for us. We need some kind of history in our, we need that kind of thing. And it's a great signing for our fans. I think those signings were made, obviously, the fantastic footballers, but I think Pep may have wanted. I think Pep prefers Alvarez to Haaland, for example.
I agree. Do you feel, all right, on the going back to like the whole Ten Hag thing? Do you think Mason Mount was a Ten Hag signing?
I do, yeah.
I think that was.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Was.
And
Because he had a connection, didn't he? And he played in Holland.
he
or
basically
something.
talked about how he thought Mason Mount could play an 8 as an 8 or something
Am
like
I wrong in thinking, though, Mason Mount would be a good signing for any football club?
I think he's a good player to have.
Like, I think if you're looking at, stats and
It's the
things
price,
like that
though.
and all those kind of things, the price was mad, especially when he spends the season injured. And
he had a
I think
year
it's
left on his
signing that
contract.
You go, "Phew."
I do feel
Yeah.
a little bit sorry for Mason
no,
Mount.
do you know
It's
what's
not
mad?
his fault he's been injured. I don't think
No,
he's...
you can't
And maybe he
predict-
wants
I
to
was-
use Bruno as this false 9. He's been using him as
Yeah.
back end of the season.
Because he played
I was
Sancho in that false 9 role in pre-season, didn't he? He's been sort of flirting with it.
I was someone that I was. The thing is, I've always thought Mason Mount was a decent player, and when he was linked to United, I thought I wouldn't mind it. But then when I saw that he had a year left in his contract and we were going to sign him for 60 million, and I knew he wasn't really an alternative as a player profile to De Jong, because it was De Jong that was chasing, and he went, "Oh, we can't get him because he's rejected us for the second window in a row. We're going to pivot to Mason Mount instead." And then it's like, where does he fit in the team? Because I think paying 60 million for a player at the year left in his contract to not be a starter is a bit weird.
He
Do you know
must
what I
have
mean?
had him in mind to be a
So
starter.
I think he thought he was going to be a starter, and then it's not worked out that way. Obviously, he's been injured.
The injuries are the
but then
thing,
also, I think when he has been fit, who's he going to start over? Obviously, you've got Mainu that's kind of accelerated into the team and become a bit of a mainstay. But even then, I don't think Mount could do what Mainu can as an 8. I don't think he fits
What
that
he
at all.
can
So it's like,
kind of do is what Bruno can do, create chances, provide chances. And if we were going for that, 2 pacey guys with a false 9 and fill the midfield out.
But that
makes
means he's
sense.
not starting week in, week out, and it means that we've then spent £60 million on a player who's a Bruno backup. That's
Do
the
we
problem.
not have to have that, though, a little bit? An element of rotating and players that are like... City have 5 or 6 players for 4 positions. Do we not need a bit of that?
Yeah, we do.
Because
can't just have
the
one
biggest
player.
criticism we've had recently is our squad isn't good enough. Our squad hasn't got that depth. Once you don't have Bruno, your next player in is McTominay in that role or whatever.
Yeah.
Or once you don't have, Kobe Mainu, then your next player is probably McTominay in that role again. Right? Or once you don't have Casemiro, you then McTominay in that role again. Like, it's
Once you don't have a centre back now, it's McTominay, isn't it?
it's an issue. Like, so do you not need to have sort of 6 players going for 4 positions like City do? Because they have Grealish, Foden, stuff. I know they're all different types of players. De Bruyne.
We're not in a position. It's just that we're not in a position for that, though. We're not in a position to do that, because you look at it. It's over £200 million spent on Mount, Casemiro, and Antony, and then you've got Antony and Mount out of that who aren't even starters at the club now. Do you know what I mean?
I think
Also, McTominay was expected to leave. You could argue Mount was that replacement, which is it'd be a huge replacement. But yeah, go on, Joe.
Yeah, I just think that we don't know with Mount. I think coming to any conclusions about what the manager thought, obviously maybe we overpaid a little bit, but it's easy to say that having had a season injured. You know,
I think you're right as well. I don't think he's been
just
fit
his
all
average.
season.
If he'd have got 10 goals, 10 assists for us this season, we wouldn't be upset. And that's sort of his average-ish numbers. Like, you know, I think that would have been possible if he'd have stayed fit. But like you said, we need to start knowing what the plan is. You can't have 5 years of being just sort of on the fringes. Jay, I've got a question for you.
Go on.
What is the biggest technological advancement that your balls have ever seen?
The biggest technological, I can use my words, sound it out, advancement my balls has ever seen has been the lawnmower 4.0, and I don't think you can get any better than that.
Yeah, by far the boldest balls the world has ever seen.
I think the 4.0 is the best you can ever get.
Well, you're about to be stunned because Manscaped have only gone and brought out the 5.0 Ultra.
Shut up, really?
Yeah, that's what they've done. And with the code Devils20, you can get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. And alongside the new trimmer, there's also the brand new performance package featuring that trimmer, like you said.
Yes.
But what else is in there as well, Jay?
Well, this is the thing, because I like the things that I like.
Yeah.
I like the crop preserver, the ball toner.
Perfect.
I like the boxer briefs. Yeah, I like the weed whacker for my nose and ear hair.
I love it.
I love all that. I like the shed travel bag 2.0.
The Weed Whacker 2.0 as well, by the way. That's been revolutionised. Carry on.
I like the shed travel bag 2.0 to put it all in.
Yeah.
I like all that good stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Did you say the boxer briefs as well?
Of course I said the boxer briefs. You think I'm crazy?
I mean, they're fantastic.
They are.
I use Manscaped every single time I shave my nuts. You use the same, don't you?
Yeah, I love a Manscaped. They're good, man.
Unbelievable.
Use them everywhere.
I literally... What do you mean? All around the world or all around your body?
All around the world.
All around the world. He's been everywhere with them. Yeah. On tour.
All around the world and
I can't find 20% off using the code Devils20 at manscaped.com. Like I said, 20% off and free shipping as well.
Free shipping as well,
So you're
man.
not getting this, that, let me go to the checkout, or what's this, 20 quid shipping that you get at some websites.
Yeah.
It's literally 20% off and free shipping using the code Devils20 at manscaped.com. The link is in the description. You don't have to remember anything. Click the link. It's also in the chat as well. Your balls will thank you. And thank you again to Manscaped
And your babes will
for
thank you as
sponsoring
well.
the show.
Yeah,
That's more importantly.
They'll be loving it.
The people around you will be thanking you.
They'll be loving it.
Some super chats. Abhinav Verma says Pochettino's team only averaged slightly less shots per game, but more XG conceded with fewer injuries and better players.
Everyone knows I'm a huge fan of Pochettino, but now's not the time to be moving to Pochettino.
There we go. Jesus Christ says, I'm so tired of this style of play rubbish. United style of play is winning trophies. That's who we are. We're not Arsenal. Second place is the first loser. Very good. Michael Dyson has been around for 28 months. Thank you very much.
Elite. Well
says,
done.
we've waited over 10 years for a title. I don't know what I'm reading here.
What?
Go on.
But Phil Leotardo spent 20 years in the can, so let's get some perspective, guys.
There you go.
Yeah, he made adjustments.
Anthony's not a varsity athlete.
Oh, you know what's The Sopranos?
He's not seeing
failure.
it.
Jesus Christ. Say that off him, Maka.
No. Brad Painter says he's clearly staying. It doesn't take this long to sack a manager when it was reported weeks ago that he would have gone. That's
We
interesting.
went to Phil Leotardo's mob hideout, you fool.
I didn't go.
Yeah, you did.
You were there with us
Where was it?
in New York.
Did he hide out on that?
Yeah, that's
Was
the
he?
place. That's the place where New York mob used to hang out on
in the
Mulberry Street.
Italian Quarter and all that.
Yeah.
That was cool, actually. Burnside is back. JC makes an excellent point on style of play. What's Ancelotti's style of play? That being said...
Who's JC?
Jesus Christ.
Is that me?
No, wasn't there a commenter called Jesus Christ? They made a comment
2
about
plus 2
the style of
equals
play.
4.
That being said, 8th, negative goal difference, and absolutely shocking Champions League performance.
Okay,
no
no.
issues if he's sacked. Interesting. Juan Martinez says, anyone but Tier 4 journalists independently... Has anyone but Tier 4 journalists independently reported that we're sacking Ten Hag? INEOS can't be expected to comment on everything everyone says. No, but what a lot of tier above that journalists have said is that there will be a review at the end of which we'll find out if he's staying. So they don't need to respond to the sacking comments, but they probably need to, at least say that they're going to keep him. Or
Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right, Maka. I hope they have had a word with him and said, "Don't worry, go on your holiday, enjoy it, chill out, everything's okay."
Yeah.
Feels like they haven't.
It feels like they haven't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they have, but really they left.
Yeah, but I don't think they
They're
have.
going to Lenny and George him up.
You know what I mean?
Just look out the window.
Oh.
Just think of good times, son.
Meissen, man.
Think of Wembley.
Yeah.
Speaking of Wembley,
Them 2 trophy wins.
I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Jadon Sancho.
Nice segue.
Obviously played in the Champions League final at the weekend.
Yeah.
Released a sort of
Did he?
thank you Dortmund post on his Instagram. Has had a revival there, but when you actually scratch beneath the surface, the numbers aren't hugely revival.
Has he though?
No, but Dortmund are tweeting how much they love him, tweeting how great he's been. He's tweeting how much he loves Dortmund. Dortmund want to sign him. Dortmund love him. They want to keep him. Separate news. Dortmund can't afford him.
Do you know what? That's what it's like. It's like, you know them couples that you see posting pictures on Facebook and Instagram, like how much they love each other. Love my fella, and the next thing you see another post saying, "I fucking hate him. He's a cheating bastard." Yeah. It feels like one of them ones where they're posting how much they love each other.
It's performative.
Exactly, and it's like, yeah, we love each other. He's great. What a great player. I love the fans. I love being at the club. It felt like home. Are you going to stay there? No. Are you going to buy him? No.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Then. So what's the last?
Where's the? What have you done? What have they done with the money we gave them for him?
What about all the... Who have you spent that on?
That's the most United question ever, isn't it?
I know we should say this.
Why don't you use the money we gave you for him to buy him?
I think Dortmund pocketed that, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's how they run the club, though. They don't really do.
Right, they
But do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure we still owe you like 20 million instalment.
Yeah, we'll just, keep that and you can have it.
Can you imagine, like, we had a clause which, like, we owe them 5 million if he wins the Champions League, and then he wins the Champions League, and we would have owed him 5 million. That was like Coutinho at Barcelona.
Here's another thing.
He had left Barca, and they were still paying out money for him.
Playing against Barcelona in the Champions League and scoring against them.
Borussia Dortmund have made 130 million euros in profit since 2012-13.
We'll take half of that.
Spend fucking a quarter of that on Jadon Sancho, and everyone's all right. You're making profit on your transfers.
Do you reckon it said that? If he gets to the Champions League final, we've got to give Dortmund some more money. Yeah. And he gets there with them.
Like, if we won it, I think it would have been
put the exact same clause in the loan. So we can get that, and then
for more money,
straight back.
For more money.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it wages will be a problem, though, isn't it?
I'm sure it will be, but also if you want to play football, you make it less of a problem.
I'm not hating.
Also, mate, you could have apologised if you love your wages that much.
I'm not hating on Jadon Sancho, right? I mean, obviously getting to the Champions League final isn't easy, but I don't think he's smashed it at Dortmund since he's been back.
Ain't he your mate?
He was
anyway.
brilliant in that PSG.
No, I hear that he was.
Hold on a minute. Ain't he your mate?
My mate is a mate.
Remember when he came up to us in San Diego and he wanted to see you? But you were sleeping like a weirdo.
He's a mate of a mate.
At 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
3 p.m. in the afternoon because I was jet lagged.
We'd been there a week.
Nah,
that was the second. No, he was jet lagged from the flight from New York to San Diego. That's why he was jet lagged.
Yeah, he was looking for you.
I never got on the time. I've never
seen that in my life.
I was there for 2 weeks and never got on the American time.
Yeah, Sancho wanted to weirdly see Ronaldo. What does that say about Sancho, by the way?
Oh well.
He wanted to hang around with him.
Listen,
because
I'll have Ronaldo Brown slander.
Because I wanted to go to Hakkasan with Adam and I fell asleep as well on the first night in Vegas.
I've never seen someone on holiday.
What was your plan? You were trying to.
You missed out on Nelly and Jayquan.
I was about to say that.
No, it's fine. Everybody in the club got tipsy and you were asleep. You're a disgrace.
You were trying to do this thing where you were trying to get your body clock on American time.
No, he was trying to keep it on English time.
Yeah, what were you trying to do? Like, I couldn't understand what you were trying to do, and it never worked.
What was the plan?
Yeah.
So we went to America for the pre-season tour last summer.
We're going again, by the way.
For the whole 2 weeks we were there, obviously us, first couple of days, you're a bit tired, a bit groggy, then you settle in. You, the whole time, were basically asleep by 11 p.m. and sometimes you'd be sleeping in the you'd be sleeping.
But you said to me, you had a plan. Like,
what was the plan?
And his plan was just sleep the whole trip.
Like, keep myself on English time or adapt to American time. I can't remember what you.
I was trying to adapt to American time, but it just didn't work, man. And even on the flight from New York to San Diego, I felt like I was slept on night would have helped, but I just couldn't correct it.
You know what you should have done? As soon as you got to New York, you should have had an edible.
Yeah, put you to bed.
I did have one.
So just back to
that's the problem. By the way, we're going to be in not in New York. We're going to be in LA. We're going to be in San Diego.
Yeah, man.
We're going to be in South Carolina. We're hopefully having a show in LA as well. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you reckon anyway?
Just on Sancho,
because you were as keen as anyone to see him come to Manchester United. And obviously it's not really worked out, has it? But where do you stand now? Do you want to see him come back and revitalise himself? Or
no, I want to see Dortmund put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah.
They keep selling all these players for like massive profits. They keep getting the Haalands, the Sanchos, the Dembélés, all these people, the Bellinghams, and they're making fucking shitloads of money every year. And then when it comes to buying someone off you, they're, we ain't got any. We know you've got loads. You fucking we bought all your players off you.
It's just their business model, though.
What's the business model? Pretend you've got money that you ain't got any money. That's not a business.
I think like
they did get to the Champions League final. To be fair,
they've just got to the Champions League final, which is cash. Every year, Bellingham 100 million, Dembele 120 million, fucking Sancho 75 million. Who was the other one I just said a second ago? Haaland 60 million. Like, these aren't nothing. These are all of those.
How much did Bayern pay for Lewandowski?
That was another 30 million, wasn't it? I mean, it was like 7 years ago, to be fair. But it was right at the end of his deal. But I just think, like, we know you're making money. You're not spending all that. They don't spend big money. Like, we know
They
you've
just
got
have that limit,
45
don't they?
million.
They just have that limit, I think, where they just, like, we
Their
are
biggest
not.
transfer was Dembele for like 28
35, I think it
million,
was.
something like that.
Euros. Like, but
And
they
then
don't
sold
break
it for
that.
100 million more.
Oh, the profit on him.
That's
Yeah,
what I
that's what
mean.
I'm saying. This is ridiculous. We can't. Don't act like you've got no money. You're a big club. Your shirts sell out every year because you release a black
they're-
and
what
white
they're-
shirt.
what they're looking at-
Clause for that.
Come on.
But what they're looking at is, they like you say, they buy the 18, 19, 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds or whatever, probably a bit younger than that, and then sell them on. Like, if they buy Sancho now for, say, 45 million, how old is he? 23?
Yeah.
23. That's breaking that model.
You know
isn't
what
it?
They've already
doing?
made their profit on him.
They won't buy Sancho, they'll buy Amad Diallo and turn him into £100 million player.
Probably.
Yeah.
They're the flip side of United, innit? They actually improve young players when they go there.
Yeah. And have success in Europe.
Yeah.
Imagine Højlund was at Dortmund. Would have bagged 40 last
Yeah.
season.
If Haaland at Dortmund,
Yeah, but
we'd
then
be
you're
back.
playing against. I remember watching Sancho and Haaland in Dortmund, and every goal I seen them score, like they were running at 2 players on the counter attack.
Yeah. It's like 4 versus 2.
Like every single
Yeah.
time.
Didn't like Sancho had like 30 assists and like none of them were from
No,
crosses.
only Messi
None-
got more goals than assists.
But none of them were
36
from
and 39
Just crossing the ball.
none of them were from crosses.
Yeah,
They were
He's
like,
a fantastic player, but after you've been a dick, just see you later, man.
I think I know it sounds crazy because he's just got to a Champions League final and we've seen the numbers he's put up as well. I don't even know if the Premier League suits him.
yeah, I think it suits him more abroad.
I don't think it like.
I think he'd do better in, like, Liga
I don't think the
and
Premier League
Bundesliga.
is a league for him. Like, he's not. I know he's obviously not slow, but he's not the quickest. He's just got quick
he's
feet,
not rapid.
but he's not rapid. And I think a lot of the Premier League is like wingers are obviously rapid and
Yeah.
fullbacks are rapid.
His work rate got criticised a lot, but when I've watched him in the Champions League for Dortmund, he's sprinting back, doubling up with the fullback
think
every
it's
time.
just-
And that.
yeah, he's
So I don't
working
know.
And it
Things
seems
just
to
about-
fit, like, even the, again though, I don't know how much of it is just tactical or whatever, but he always seems to have this issue after like 65, 70 minutes where
Doesn't really complete 90. does he?
he's not that guy, is he? And I don't know whether it is tactical
people,
It's not talent for me, man.
or fitness. I just don't.
nah,
I
it
just
can't
don't.
be. It's not
Did
talent.
you hear what
Sancho.
Benny
No
McCarthy
way.
said, though?
But
Or allegedly said? I haven't seen it come out of his mouth.
no, I think he was quoting in South African.
Days,
Yeah, a South African thing.
They basically said that Sancho doesn't want to apologise because he's basically admitting that he doesn't train well and he's a miserable sod or whatever. But that wasn't the accusation of him, right? That kind of came out in the press about him at Dortmund and all that. He was asked to apologise for putting a statement online
Yeah. No, that's
and
a
being
good point.
disrespectful.
Well, that
You weren't
came-
asked to
No, but
apologise.
that came from
an
Ten Hag though.
accusation
But
from
what did Ten Hag say?
He
It wasn't
said-
an accusation. Ten Hag
No,
said
he said if
he
you want
hasn't
to play, you
trained
have
well.
to train. You
That's
have
not
to
what he
train
said.
properly.
He got
What did he
asked,
say?
why isn't he in the squad?
Yeah.
He said I picked the squad based on training. He hasn't trained that well this week.
What did I
He
just
said
say?
some. He said.
No,
there's-
but you kind of alluded to the fact that he's just constantly not training well. Like, but he said my team was based on training this week.
Ten Hag said there's standards at
He
this
said you
football
need to-
club
yeah.
or something like that,
Yeah.
and
You need to
Sancho.
be-
Can we get the exact quote?
I'm getting it now. Yeah.
Sorry.
So just like
He
standards.
got asked why didn't we select him on his performance in training. We didn't select him.
Yeah. There you go.
See, I don't think that was that bad.
How fair is that?
I don't
not
think
bad.
it's that. Like,
but
managers
the
say much worse and much less
Nah,
made
but
of it.
it wasn't. It weren't just that he said though. He actually come out and said. He said after it. He said there's standards at Manchester United in training, and he's not hitting them or something like that. And then obviously
I
he's got
remember watching the
defensive
clip,
about him.
and I don't think it was that bad at all. The full clip
Yeah.
of him being, and he was asked. And this is the thing: people say, "Oh, he could have just said he wasn't fit." But you could tell lies then. And then how do you know what the player's not going to go? Well, that's not true.
No, but obviously, Ten Hag would have said this to Sancho to his face though at
That's
training.
what I mean.
But I think Sancho just got upset that it was said publicly, which is well, you know what footballers are like now when it comes to public relations,
Yeah,
PR. So
true,
it's
so.
that is.
He
But
says you have to reach that level every day at Manchester United. You can make choices in the front line. So in this game, he wasn't selected. But he, like I said before, that he said on his performance on training, we didn't select him.
I think that's so.
I think that's fair from Ten Hag.
I
It's not
just
bad,
don't
is it?
understand how it
Yeah.
blew up into this whole thing of like a 3-month period where he's eating his packed lunch with the kids or whatever, and then he goes back to Dortmund. It was just so blown out of proportion, so silly.
Especially when wasn't his 3-month hiatus like Ten Hag trying to help him as well.
I was thinking about that though. I think there's a decent chance that whilst we all look at that as like a sort of, whether it be mental health or whatever, fitness health or whatever, like olive branch from Ten Hag, if you're a professional footballer, you might be thinking, what the fuck have you done sending me out to Holland for 3 months? I've never seen another manager do that to
Nah,
another
man.
player.
When I saw,
And I'm not
when
saying
I saw them
it's
two
wrong.
stood on the side, like, you know, if you're Sancho, and your manager's giving you that time to go away, sort your head out, all those kind of things, hasn't criticised you in the press, been quite defensive of you in the press.
Yeah.
You come back, you're stood on the sidelines hugging him and all that.
Yeah.
The crowd are roaring for you.
Yeah.
You don't.
Them two look very friendly and happy together.
That's not.
Like, he looks happy with Ten Hag.
That wasn't the start of the end. That seemed to be like, yo, this is the manager for Sancho.
It didn't last long after that, though, did it?
No, but then it did look, when he came back, I was at that game as well, and the crowd was chanting his name. He was buzzing. Him and Ten Hag looked very happy together. It seemed like he was pleased with the way that had gone.
And I hope
it didn't seem like a player that was coming back like, why the fuck have I just been in Holland
He's
for
got
3
to
months?
go, man. I'm sorry to say, I love Sancho. There's mad videos of me out there saying how good he is, and I look stupid now because, you know, he's not playing well at the moment. But I truly believe that's how good he is. I think he's up there talent-wise with most wingers in the world. But we just don't see it on a regular basis. And you chuck the toys out of the pram. So if we sack the manager now, we should invite you back with open arms. Nah, man, that sends the wrong message to people.
It does send the wrong message, I think, as well. I agree with that. What do you reckon?
No, that would. I think Sancho needs to go. I mean, it's best for United, and it's also probably best for him.
Yeah,
but in agreement, I think this whole report that's come out that Sancho will come back if Ten Hag goes, that does set a horrible precedent for like when it comes to what we're trying to fight against, which is this whole player power culture that we've not liked at United anyway for the past 10 years.
Yeah, completely. Sancho, obviously, as we move toward the Euros, hasn't been selected for England.
Not a surprise, is it?
Not a surprise. Maybe more of a surprise. No Rashford in the England squad.
When I look at some of the other players and the reason that Gareth Southgate gave for not selecting Rashford, then I think that is a little bit of a surprise.
When he still selected Jack Grealish,
the
worst
if Grealish makes the final squad, then that's a problem. Because obviously people are getting upset about the provisional. Like, there's some of the players won't make it still, and I could include Grealish.
Also, like,
but
Shaw's in the team, hardly played. You know, if like Rashford was injured all season, you'd be like, he's been injured all season.
England have no left back, so
you go Maguire, who some people think ended the season quite well. All right, cool. If that's
he was
true,
injured for
fair enough.
The season.
But at the same time, he's had terrible lows, never been dropped. So you choose to like defend this guy, even though you've got fantastic centre backs available. But when it comes to Rashford, it's a different set of rules for him. I just find it mad, and I think Rashford's better than. I think Rashford's been like Grealish is a fantastic player, but they're very different. I think I'd rather have Rashford on the left. You look at Gordon; he's had a good season. Bowen's had a good season. They're not better than Marcus Rashford.
Couldn't agree more.
And when like even if you think Rashford's not been quite at it, it's not at his best. If you're 1-0 down in the 70th minute against France, who do you want to bring off the bench? Marcus Rashford or Jack pass it back Grealish?
Because I had the argument. Because I had the argument with my boys, but my boys are very pro Rashford, isn't it? Because play with him, and they're saying the likes of France, Germany, and etc. They're not scared of Anthony Gordon. They might be a little bit scared of Rashford though.
Yeah.
But I did fight back on that in terms of if you're looking at the season going into the Euros, Gordon is ahead of Rashford.
Okay, cool. But
he is ahead of him.
What about most of the big games? Rashford's fucking scored bangers, bro. Like, think of the goal against City, the goal against Arsenal. Like,
Liverpool.
He's putting big performances in games where it really matters. Like, even the FA Cup final, I think he didn't score, get an assist, but he played well.
I think your point about Anthony Gordon, fair enough, right? Anthony Gordon had a better season. Okay, I can live with that. Jack Grealish hasn't had a better season. Hasn't done in an England shirt what Marcus Rashford has done in an England shirt. Like, there's no metric where, other than what he's won, what Jack Grealish has won this season was winning a title, which was down to being in a City team rather than being the leader of that team or someone who's won that trophy. I just think that's where my argument with Gareth Southgate is flawed, because Gareth Southgate literally said there's players that have had better seasons this season than Marcus Rashford in that position, and I think that's untrue.
I think you're correct with Gordon. Gordon's
the one, but I'm not talking about Gordon. I mean, Jack Grealish.
The Grealish one is odd. The Grealish one is odd, but I think Grealish is the one that you can have a gripe with. I think the Gordon one is you obviously might think Rashford's a better player, but with how they've performed over the past year, then Gordon's obviously
it makes sense for
Gordon deserves to be ahead of him.
I get the Gordon one,
I mean?
And I think when a player is on form and in confidence, I get picking him.
Yeah.
Because he rates himself, and he's one of those players that wants the ball all the time and he's making things happen. I understand that. I just think with Grealish, to make that argument, he's had a better season, because that's literally why Gareth Southgate said he was in the team ahead of.
But then again, like Adam said, he didn't. Maguire was having very poor seasons and got picked time and time again.
Tomori was tearing it up and that. Can I just say, some people have commented on the Maguire thing, gone, why does Macaulay hate Maguire and that? I don't hate him. Yeah, I just don't rate him. I don't think he's a very good player. And I think a few decent performances this season aren't pulling the wool over my eyes. And the same reason why Victor Lindelof's still here is because every time he has a decent game, we go, oh yeah, let's keep him. The same reason why a lot of these players last for longer than they should is because of this. They have 2 or 3 good games and go, well, actually, they're class. No, he's not. He's not good enough for Man United. He's shown he's not.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I agree.
He's not good enough.
I'm on the side of thinking that Maguire, he's had a more solid season than we've seen, but I think some of his praise is almost a victim of the fact that he's been so bad so often. That sometimes when he doesn't have like these outlandish mistakes or poor games as he usually has. Yeah. I think they get a little bit overblown.
And there's been games as well where like he'll be in his own box, boot the ball at his own teammate in the face, yeah. And then after the game, everyone will be going, oh yeah, he was class today. It was like, bro, did you just miss?
I don't want to just dwell on the Maguire thing though, because I feel like we're talking about Maguire.
No, I'm responding to it because I've had a few videos where people have got onto me for it and saying, oh, you hate Maguire.
I know you don't.
I don't hate him. I don't hate anyone. I just don't. Well, I do hate a lot of people. But I don't hate any footballer at Man United.
I hate a lot of people.
I don't hate any footballer at Man United, but I just don't rate him. And you're not pulling the wool over my eyes with a few 6, 7 out of 10.
Gareth Southgate obviously does rate Harry Maguire, doesn't he? And he's picked him again. But it's like the reverse of what we've seen with a lot of United players, because historically, United, I think, with England, have been massively disrespected. Yeah. Like, you look at a lot of the players United have had for England. Some of the best players I've ever seen, like for Manchester United and in Europe as well, haven't really had their opportunity with England. No. You look at Andy Cole. Andy Cole, for me, is the standout one. I know there's more, you're going to go into it. But Andy Cole, I think he played, 15 times for England? One of the best strikers you will ever see. 187 Premier League goals, only one of them was a penalty. Won the Champions League, won the Premier League 5 times, I think. Was just a phenomenal striker. Had one season where he scored 34 Premier League goals, none of them are penalties. And yet, he barely got a look in at England.
It's absolutely crazy, that, isn't it? When you
it's
think,
a disgrace.
Like, 15 times. For someone who's not even like... If he'd got 100 Premier League goals, you'd be like, you should be playing more than 15 times. He got 210 Premier League goals?
I know there was a lot of really
187
good
Premier League goals.
You look at some of the strikers that didn't really play for England as much. Fowler was an incredible goal scorer. You got Andy Cole there. They had a luxury of players in that position. Even like Les Ferdinand and all these. Like,
we had good players. I'm not saying didn't.
But Andy Cole was the only one out of the English strikers that was doing it in the Champions League as well.
Yeah,
the only one.
Yeah,
name another one that really done it in the Champions League.
None of them.
No.
None of them. Like Les Ferdinand didn't play in the Champions League.
Teddy Sheringham,
Shearer didn't play in the.
And he scored 4 goals
that season. Really, I know Shearer was always a given, but Ian Wright in the Champions League, I don't remember him doing anything in the Champions League. I think he won a Cup Winners' Cup. Obviously Teddy did, but yeah, a lot of them were getting in there without any sort of Champions League pedigree whatsoever.
Yeah, there's a few though, isn't there? Like, obviously not to the same degree. I think he's one of the best ones. Like Paul Scholes, just constantly be playing out position, pushed onto the left mid for the sake of Lampard and Gerrard.
I think that comes down to his, like, when people ask him, "Are you better than this guy?" and he goes, "Nah," and everyone's like, "Bruv, you are. What are you talking about?" I think that comes down to him. He's just like, I'm not going to kick up a fuss.
It makes him easier.
If he was to kick up a fuss, like you can imagine Gerrard getting asked to play on the right, which he did a lot for Liverpool, and then for England going, actually, I don't. And the manager going, all right, sound. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You can see Scholes just not being arsed.
I think even now when he's asked about it, he says he didn't mind playing on the left. I just don't think he was that bothered about England. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons he retired.
He definitely wasn't. Them times United were after the big stuff. Year in, year out. I feel like when he played for England, it felt like
shit.
It felt like.
Worth pointing out as well, Michael Carrick, who was one of the first names on the team sheet for arguably United's best spell in history. Yeah. Like 3 in a row, inches and whiskers away from 6 in a row. Like, unbelievable player. Played 34 times for England. That's less than Stuart Downing, Gareth Barry, and Sean Wright-Phillips. Stuart Downing played more times for England.
Michael Carrick.
Gareth Barry's the worrying one there because they play in the same position.
I know.
That's the one I looked at. I looked at that and I thought they don't play his position.
50 years long.
Yeah,
so that makes it a little bit.
Michael Carrick. I remember there was one tournament we went to where there was no Scholes, but we had Gerrard, Lampard.
Was it 2010?
Maybe, or 08. Was there a tournament in 08?
No, we didn't qualify in 08.
Okay, but kind of like maybe in the build up to that, it should have been Carrick sitting there letting them go and do whatever the fuck they wanted to do. Yeah. Like the fact England never quite got to grasps with a player like that, it just shows you why they failed on a.
Yeah, we literally could have had Carrick, Scholes, and Hargreaves in 08 as you centre mid, the one that won the league and the Champions League. You could have had that, and we didn't.
Although Hargreaves probably wouldn't have.
Didn't even qualify though. That's the mad thing. You had a position in that Champions League final in every position there was an English player by goalkeeper, striker, left back, right back. Like some of the best players ever were playing in those positions, and we didn't even qualify.
I think Carrick's hurt a bit by the era he played in as well. Because I think if Carrick played today, he'd be like an £80 million player. Yeah. I think Carrick today is basically Rodri.
Yeah.
I think they're very similar players.
I think he's better.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm the biggest fan of Michael Carrick. I fucking loved him growing up. I thought it might be an all-time favourite.
Chicharito keeps going viral at the moment.
Yeah,
you know where he kind of draws check out a goal, and Chicharito just heads it over.
Yeah.
It's a really good header, to be fair, but he did that every single game.
His style of player is more like appreciated in today's game. And
he would never go to the press and be like, "Oh, you see these pricks."
No, he wouldn't.
A deep line player,
you know what I mean?
A deep line player who's not all about
size, height,
but it's just his positioning. His defensive positioning is some of the best I've ever seen. Like he tells the opposition where they can pass it and where they can't pass it by where he puts his body. He would basically not just dictate play for us, he would dictate play for the opposition by putting himself in between the pass they wanted to make at all times. I've never seen anyone.
And when we lost Keane as well, obviously we were shitting it, Like, who's going to replace this figure? And obviously you didn't replace him as the same player, but for him to just slot in and be like, right, we don't miss Roy Keane. Obviously we missed him, but you know what I mean? Like, we didn't.
Do you remember the outrage when we bought him? Got the 16 shirt, spent like 15 million on him or something. 80 million, sorry. And everyone was like, what are we doing? I can't believe this. And like, just one of the best midfielders of his generation. And he gets 34 caps, a joke.
Never really got injured either, just there. Every game.
Won a lot, and
amazing
34 caps for England is pathetic.
Yeah. We've got a few super chats. Jesus Christ. Actually, I've skipped forward there. Says, Anthony's fee is the biggest issue. Club failure. If he was 30 million, he'd be decent. Scored against Arsenal, City, Everton, Barca, Betis, and Liverpool. Exactly. Like, if he's a 30 million player, we're looking at him and going, maybe it's time for him to move on. But you know,
not a bad point.
Also, I think he has a flawed personality.
Yeah, there's all sorts going into it. Danny Shields says, I think Mount was his McTominay replacement, and Cobby was expected to come through as the Fred replacement and level up the centre of the park. A.T. Benian says, I've heard that Jay runs for trams and buses.
Yes, I do.
Correct.
True,
constantly. It's my hobby, even when I don't need to get on the tram or the bus.
Zarol says, my guy Adam got hate on the last video he was on, and he's annoyed at that.
Yeah, it was true, isn't it? I was annoyed at that.
It was good. That was the whole point.
I messaged Jay saying I agree with McCullough's. You don't
have to message Jay, you can say it publicly.
No. I didn't want to get.
He's getting cooked at the moment, so I'm going to stay quiet.
That's exactly what I said.
He said, don't tell anyone.
Have you seen that video? Have you seen that meme of the geezer where he's just a shadow and he goes, I don't know who said it, but I agree with him.
I said to Jay that I agree, but then Jay was like, yeah, I knew you would.
I know, like, you and McCall are always on the same page.
Nah, with the Maguire thing, I was. But obviously, I feel like he's.
But I think people are getting a little bit too giddy. Like, let's have it right. I said to these before. Like, if Maguire makes a mistake in his next games, a lot of the people that are sticking up for him will turn against him. It's the same with Rashford. If Rashford was to score in the FA Cup final, a lot of people that are hating on him will love him. It's very reactionary. You've been consistent with your opinion. You've been consistent with yours. It's not the end of the world if you don't agree.
Yeah, he's had a decent season, but I still think going forward, United should sell him.
The biggest point. I mean, we made a whole video about every single player, and everyone sort of got caught up in the whole Harry Maguire debate when there was like obviously 23 other players we spoke about. We didn't agree on all of them.
There's 2 or 3 that are the inflammatory ones.
Do you know what I mean? It's like
Rashford, it's Maguire. They're the big ones.
Because they're the ones that if you do so, you can get a decent fee for as well.
And I think as well, like everyone decided, like this time last year, everyone, including me, said Maguire probably needs to move on.
I said at the beginning of the season, he should have gone to West Ham.
A better season than last season, but by no means a world-class season. And then now a lot of people think, and maybe he should, but for me, the only reason I think Maguire should stay is because we know that Varane is definitely leaving. And then we've got to replace 2 centre-backs. That's my only concern. But, you know, I don't think that he's the answer to United's problem.
Let's pick this up again in the next video.
Yeah, exactly. Quota says, to play devil's advocate, we're acting like when news breaks, that's when things are in motion. They could be in motion already, but we don't know. That's a good point. Jesus Christ says, Jay also claps at the cinema.
Could someone, sorry, because...
Prince Voorhees says that Fabrizio Romano has made an update on Ten Hag's future. I don't.
Has he?
That can't be.
Has he though?
Hey, he definitely
has Fabrizio Romano gone?
Coming soon.
He's not done it in the last hour, so I don't think.
That's what I was looking at. I've been looking at his thing. You know what? I love it because we work in the industry and we obviously, we get banging videos and Fabrizio says something and that. But like, Kills transfer, not just him. I'm not just blaming Fabrizio Romano, but like, all this like just instant. Oh, you know what's going on, and
From
then
back in the day.
If it's not true, he gets killed straight away. If it is true, it's like there's no surprises anymore.
There's no refreshing teletext, is there?
Yeah, checking out the gossip column.
I mean, you're annoyed
playing bamboozle at midnight, just waiting for that.
Ringing the transfer line.
Club call.
Your club call, that was it. Club call.
Going to get in the newspaper.
£12 an hour.
Oh my god.
Deadline day
As well, get in the newspaper in the morning.
Yeah, mate.
I used to check the
BBC gossip column.
Gossip column. I used to check that every day.
Yeah, so good. So you don't like that? What else don't you like? Wally of the week.
Nice.
Get it up. Get the thing up. Get it up. Pop up. Ethan, come on! Wally of the week.
Oh my God.
Ronaldo. I'm starting with you this week because I always go last to you because you've not thought.
There it is.
There it is. Bang.
Oh, we got a little thing for it.
Yeah, it pops up.
We've had that for 8
Wally
months.
of the week's my invention, isn't it?
Yeah, we love it.
I mean, I copied Donkey of the Day,
Same thing.
which is Breakfast Club, but yeah.
Well done, man. I'm proud of you.
Ronaldo,
Go on.
who's your Wally of the week?
I'll let you go first.
No, we always
do
let
this
you go last.
every
You need to
week,
think of
Ronnie.
one.
You
You're
always
on
act
the show every
surprised.
week.
I just don't think people are Wallies. I don't do that.
That's
Do you
not
know what I mean?
true.
Right,
Well,
you
you
better
slap people
fucking
off on
start
social
doing
media.
it
I could
now.
go on your Twitter
Who's the
now
knob of the week?
and find the biggest knob.
Oh, there's so many choices on
Has he
Twitter.
posted
You
his
find the
pictures
biggest knob on
Has
social
he been
media.
posting his pictures again?
Are you googling big knobs again?
I could go on your Twitter now and
Yeah.
find the biggest knob.
You do that,
you're
fam.
You
always
signed up to
calling
his OnlyFans, are you?
You're always calling people a knobhead.
There's a guy called Mikey on Twitter that's always interacting with me. I followed him back actually because he makes me laugh even though he has the opposite.
No, this is not.
opinions.
We're not
so
praising people.
I'm gonna
in this
say
section.
now. So I'm gonna say that he is Wally of the week.
No,
Right, okay.
No.
Who's this? Someone who follows you on
you
Twitter?
like them, so you call them Wally of the week. You're breaking. This isn't
You
for that.
don't
Go on,
like your friends.
Hit us with a
My
real
Wally of the
week.
week is
Hit us with a real
it's someone that I hold dear to my heart. It's someone that I love a lot, and it's someone that I'll work with a lot in the future. But he's definitely Wally of the week. It's Miles. He seems to think Arsenal created the chant, "We are by far the greatest team the world has ever seen," and the reason he thinks that is because he thinks it comes from the Clover advert.
Do you remember that advert?
Yeah, we all
love Clover. Yeah, that is an old chant as well.
But
That
yeah,
chant
but,
has been around
him thinking
forever.
Arsenal created that.
I love that. I love the
Makes
fact
him
he
my Wally
probably
of the
believes it as well. Bless him.
That advert came out in 2004. Do you think that's when that song came from?
So
and it's
that's when they were invincibles, though,
Yeah,
right?
it's an old
So he
Irish
probably
song
thought,
thinking.
"Yo, we're actually by far the greatest
Yeah,
team."
like
They are. It's like an old Irish folk song that's been used in football chants.
No, nay, never.
Forever.
No,
Like-
never, no more.
Yeah, I remember that one as a kid.
Absolutely
Obviously,
fantastic.
Yeah, I mean,
That is a good one.
But Miles.
Actually. Yeah. Go on, Jay. Who's yours?
Mine is the motherfucker that hacked me on Twitter.
I forgot about this.
No, he's
Send it to the
my
next account.
champion of the week.
Let me
Well
find
done. Jay was fuming. He's tweeting without a profile picture. It
me
looks
on
really
Twitter,
weird.
Man, I live on that app, and I was gutted. And I had to jump through some hoops to get him chucked off as well because he was spamming everyone in my inbox, in my DMs, DMing everyone
for bread.
Crypto.
So we saw.
Did anyone buy any of the crypto, by the way?
Oh, mate.
Have you become a victim of him being a victim?
Honestly,
Did you buy any
I was
crypto?
so angry.
But also, no. Wally of the week should be Jay.
It should be me.
For clicking on the link that got
But do you know what it
sent
is,
to you.
right? The DM I got, it looks official. It was like from X with a blue tick.
Hey, I can tell you right now what the DM that you got. I've got it in
I need
front of
to see
me.
that.
There's no blue tick.
There's no blue tick.
Well, I had a blue tick on mine.
It says, "Dear ex-user, your account is currently being investigated for copyright
Copyrights.
violating our copyrights. In order for you to provide feedback within the time given to you, please fill out the form below. If you do not respond within 24 hours, your account will be suspended."
I shit
And
myself.
it's help.x-executive.
Yeah.
You didn't think X
And then it says,
dash
"We wish you a nice day, ex-support team."
with a copyright
With
sign.
a little copyright.
Why is there a
next to it,
copyright sign?
Because it's so official. So did you click on the link?
Yeah, because I was posting videos, right? So I thought, oh shit, I've been done for posting some of these videos. Clicked on it, and then it was just like a form, like the normal form. I thought, what the fuck
You
is
always
this?
get the boom, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you put your password in.
Nah, it was in my
You put your
inbox.
national insurance in.
I didn't
No,
put
so when
anything
you
in.
click the link, what did you have to input into?
Nothing. I just clicked on a link, and then it came up a thing saying your email's been changed. I was like, oh, I'm fucked.
Because I clicked
so
the link
fucked.
that they tweeted.
Yeah, I did.
And I thought, oh shit, I'm fucked, so I changed my
That's
password.
what I did
clicked
that with my DMs.
the Bitcoin link where you
Right.
were selling J Marty coin.
Yeah, you got any Bitcoin, by the way? I can make you some big dough on that.
There was a big J Motti coin that was going around for a while. I bought
I
a bit.
was so good.
The price has
so annoyed.
skyrocketed.
Right, it was a drama.
My Wally of the week.
James said, Jim said, well, it could be James, says, I dropped £100 on Jay's recommendation for the crypto.
That'll be 200 quid tomorrow, son. Don't you worry about that.
Unbelievable.
Come on, son. You can't give him shit when you haven't got one.
I have.
Go on, then.
Why are you going through Reddit/soccer?
I've seen if any Wallies.
You call it soccer. You're Wally of the week.
I call it soccer. I think Dortmund.
Nah.
Pathetic.
Adeyemi messed up twice.
Adeyemi messed up. Like, it's
You
just
call it
like-
Dortmund a Wally week for losing to Real Madrid in the Champions League final?
Yes.
It's inevitable.
Because they had loads of chances and they missed them all.
Nah.
That's what you can't do. That's what United didn't do. That's why we won the FA Cup and they didn't win it. Because you have open nets, one-on-ones, like 2 one-on-ones, and you're hitting the inside of the post.
You're not familiar with the dark magic, that.
I am familiar with it. I know that Real Madrid win it every time. They won the last 9 finals in a row in Europe that they've been in. I get that they win. But I just think Dortmund, you had it. You had the chance.
They didn't have it, though.
But they didn't.
Even if they scored, they lose.
No.
Trust me, man.
They lost on next year on every single knockout tie, Real Madrid.
That's unbelievable.
That's one of the worst sentences he's ever said on this show.
There's a tainted victory.
And we've had Steve on it.
It's got an asterisk on it, that
Nah,
trophy.
I said it because everyone hates XG, innit? But I feel like it can be an alright metric, but it's just funny that people that hate it, that gives credence to it. Do you know what I mean?
Hate it. Danny Grantham says, Romano says that INEOS have made contact with other managers, agents in the last 3 to 4 days. He's just done a video.
Tell him shut up, man.
Right, that's going to be all from us. Thank you very
Don't
much.
forget as well, I've had a lot of super chats from members, extra content on the members section. You guys have done a video, haven't you?
Yes, we've had a little look at what's going on with Luke Shaw. Luke Shawry boy. Also, hit like on the video, please, if you haven't already.
If you've got any scams that you want Jay to get roped into, you can send him, like,
just DM me.
Just DM antivirus scams, he'll fall for them.
Yeah.
He'll go buy you loads of gift cards and things like that. Target gift cards to get you out of a hole. He buys Viagra when you send him those links.
Wholesale.
Get your willy really big.
He was alright for a laugh when you was having a joke.
And then he
start getting serious. It's not
he buys. He thinks he's got £1 billion coming his way from.
I have. He's got one. Mate, they just need the admin fee covering. That's all.
Do you want to
send it?
You wouldn't spend £5,000 to get 100 million in return.
Do you think I'm an idiot?
Check this story out. Once, my mum. This is oh man, we were so broke back in the day. Once, my mum must have bought a lottery ticket, and she must have matched like 5 numbers or something like that, like a decent amount of numbers.
That's huge.
Yeah, and then same week now, we got the checks Reader's Digest would send you.
Oh yeah.
When they were just fake checks, but you'd end up buying like 20 encyclopedias and that.
Yeah.
But they sent like this fake check for like 50 grand or something.
Yeah.
And me and my mum were like running around the house.
Oh no, this is so tragic. I don't like this.
This is it, Mum. We're getting out of the hood.
No.
Nah, we're still in the hood.
I don't like it. I don't like that story.
When you see me, like, you got a scratch.
I had a day off school, everything. That's how mad it went. Like we went and got a passport form.
Spending money you ain't got as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't worry about that. We've got money coming to us. Yeah, we'll get a takeaway tonight. Don't worry about that. We'll pay the gas bill
Use
tomorrow.
all your milk tokens.
Don't worry about that, son. We're going to be balling. It's good. And then no, you haven't got any money. You haven't got anything.
That's sad.
School. Right, thank you very much for joining us. This has been the Paddock Podcast. Thank you again to Manscaped for sponsoring the show. The link is in the description. Use the code DEVILS20 for 20% off and free shipping. Thank you, Ronaldo. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Adam. Thank you to everyone at home. We'll see you in a bit.